Hello, this is Nancy Heins-Glaser with Meet the Artists here on SOMAtv. And today I'm delighted because I have a bunch of talented young people who are here to talk about their art, and a very talented, not as young person, retired educator, to talk about a show that's just been curated at Gallery 1978, and it's Onnie Strothers. And I'm going to ask everybody to please say your name, going in order from Onnie Strothers to Arit.
Riyad.
Devon, Clem.
Charles O'Leary.
Righto. And we're here to talk about, the show is called, Onnie?
The show is called Fresh 3.0, and it's an advanced placement art exhibit. Actually, it's a preview of portfolios that are going to be submitted this May to the Educational Testing Service for students who are looking to gain advanced placement credit while in high school.
And so actually they submit it and they can get extra credit toward college. Is that how that works?
Right. The advanced placement program is a College Board program that allows high school students, advanced level high school students, to work on college level curriculum while in high school. And so a lot of people, I think, are probably familiar with AP Bio and AP Chemistry, things like AP, various kinds of AP Math, or courses like in the movie Stand and Deliver. But there are many other AP courses in the humanities, AP History, and all the world languages, and of course AP Art and AP Art History. And AP Columbia High School has a tradition of being very strong in advanced placement courses. At one time, they used to call Columbia High School the junior college because there were so many AP courses at Columbia, more than any other school in the state. And one of the more popular courses at Columbia High School, I think, is AP Art, along with AP Art History. There are two programs that are within the art department.
You started AP Art History, did you not?
Yeah.
I recall that.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of your background. So I don't know if anybody knows that you were the initiator of that. I do,
Well,
and they should know.
Ago.
Now they do, right?
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago.
Well, not so long ago. But so you curated this show, but you also, in addition to Columbia High School, you went on to Arts High to be part of that, and therefore the collaboration with those two schools is pretty neat.
Years ago, I went to Arts High School, and when the opportunity came up to become art department chairperson at Arts High School, I jumped at it. Of course, I would never have left Columbia High School for any place but Arts High. And one of my goals at Arts High was to institute an advanced placement program, because Arts High is the first visual and performing arts high school in the nation. It's the original Fame School before the Fame School. And I felt that it was very important to have an advanced placement art class at Arts High School. And
so you made it happen.
Well, I worked to help it to happen, and now that I'm no longer working as a teacher or as an administrator, the administrators who followed me, Miss Eel and now Miss Rocker Brown, have continued the program.
And that's how we ended up having the combination of Columbia High advanced placement. That's Larry McKim.
Right.
And in Newark Arts High, the
That's
teacher.
Fausto Sevilla.
And you're from there, from Newark Arts High, right? And you guys are from Columbia, and you're almost AP, but you're not AP. But I won't even get into that. I can't figure that out. But you are an AP student, okay? And each of you has a different piece in the work. Can you tell us a little bit about? Well, first of all, did you decide what you wanted to put in, or did your teachers kind of say these are the strongest pieces to put in this exhibit?
Well, with mine, I did a large-scale painting And when I finished it, my teacher said, "This is great. I think this is going to be your piece." And I did a few more, and we kind of decided together that that really was a good statement piece for me to put in at least.
And it's orange and it's very vibrant, as I understand.
Yes.
And was it photographic or painting? Or?
What happened was I actually did a drawing of the person last year, and as I was working on another painting, the idea just popped into my head, and I could see the painting. It was a cut-off face done in radiating circles, and I just went to it and did it.
Is that the orange? Is it orange or red, or what were the colors?
It's flesh toned for the face. The hair is yellow, background is blue, and shirt is green. So it's kind of bright, vivid colors.
Day glow, almost
Yeah.
day glow. What, they don't have day glow anymore, do they? I mean, that's the 60s and 70s. What's with me? And what piece is yours?
I have a lot more. I have about 4 pieces, but they're all relatively small. Most of my work is actually done in graphic pen because I found a lot of my influence came from comic book artists like Charles Burns. And one of the pieces I contributed is actually like a small accordion fold book.
I saw the book, absolutely.
Yeah, which folds outwards, and like there's text on the back panels and there's imagery on the front panels. And I wanted to include most of the pieces I did include, kind of contrary to Larry's opinion, because he wanted me to submit a lot of my graphite class assignments, but I just didn't really feel it had the content that I wanted to, show for myself in the show.
Oh, you artists, yes. And you do have a right to make a decision about what you put in, which is very cool. That's one of the things that you learn in an AP, or almost an AP class, right? You get to make your own choices. No, I don't really agree with that choice, right?
We're given a lot of freedom
Yeah.
in the AP Art course. I took Art 1 last year, actually, and it was really kind of brutal because I had never really taken any art class before, and to be forced to do certain assignments was a brutal experience because I was kind of not really compliant. So this sort of freedom is refreshing after having that art course.
Oh, you were sort of non-compliant. I'm not quite sure what that means, but that's okay. Now, I know your pieces, one of the pieces you have in there, one of them is long and tall, and it's a metallic sculpture, and another is
Yes.
like a baby in a box or something.
Yes, it is.
And then one is right next to Mr. Strothers. Would you?
Well, advanced placement gives students the opportunity to work on ideas that they want to pursue. And so it's kind of a misnomer when we think that a student who's a sophomore or a junior wouldn't be in AP. Any student can submit an advanced placement portfolio as long as they have enough work and the work is of a high enough quality. And so this is, I'm going to let him, Alif, talk about his
Can
piece.
you actually hold it for me?
Yeah, of course.
Thank
Okay.
you. Well, this is actually based on something I got from watching kind of YouTube. And I was actually, as a child, I was interested in origami. And I've, kind of evolved from there. And I took something that I got a small idea of using triangles and making a swan. It was kind of, I saw it on YouTube, and it was this beautiful swan, and it was made out of a small piece of triangle. And I was thinking, maybe I could use that triangle to make something more out of that. So I evolved from that small swan into this. It's kind of a monstrosity, but it's so sophisticated. At least I think so. Well, this piece
Okay,
consists
it's
of
It's
about,
intended to hang, right?
yes,
The
it's
other
very
sculptural
much-
pieces are, well, the other one, the metal one, the skeletal one
Yes,
is
it is.
also hanging, but this is rubber, or what is the?
This
That's-
is copper.
That's copper, but
and
the
rubber cement.
plastic inside is what? Or those rings are the
These-
silver rings?
These rings are all made out of paper, and I
Paper.
spray painted it with a
Uh-huh.
metallic gray,
Okay,
silver.
all
So
right.
all of these are little folded pieces of paper.
Yes, it is.
Aha,
It's about,
okay.
it consists about 2,000 to 3,000 pieces, and this was actually my first successful piece. And when my teacher Fausto Sevilla seen this, he was out, he was really amazed.
Yeah,
It was something out of the ordinary, extraordinary, and he wanted me to make it more evolved and more
right.
sophisticated. So he asked me, "What if you enlarge this? And what if you?" So I enlarged it, and then I thought, I love evolution, and I gave my next piece, which was made out of aluminum, arms, and it has no head, but there was a reason for that. The reason was actually, honestly, I want to be honest with you, but I did not want to head on there, pretty much.
Well, you don't have to. You're the
I
artist,
don't like
right?
making heads, and yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much
the heck
artist
with
intention.
heads. Forget it. Well, anyway, I think it's so interesting the amount of time any art piece takes. You know, I mean, I know that we all know. I knew kids that could just do that.
Right.
You know, and it'll look great. My husband's a 37-year classroom art teacher, so I see a lot of art, high school art. In fact, he got a call from one of his students' moms tonight because he helped the kid get into college, and the college is doing an art show. So it's art in younger people is in our lives all the time. I'm impressed with the amount of time and dedication you guys have to put into doing a piece. Do you know when you're done? You know, I really worked my heart out on that one. Do you know, or do you know when you didn't work as hard as maybe you should have when you're doing art? Nobody's going to watch a show. Don't worry. You can be on. No. Do you ever know when you really locked it? You said you felt you knew that in this piece, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. This piece that I did, it's like I kind of knew it was a free-flowing idea that I had, as opposed to one of the projects we were assigned was to do. We were to create a collage and then enlarge it and paint it. And I did the whole process, and I started painting, and I knew it wasn't going to turn out well. Like, my heart wasn't in it. So I gave it up, and I decided to paint another ceiling tile instead, which will be my second ceiling tile I've painted.
There were ceiling tiles in the show.
Yes.
That's not yours?
No, I
Okay.
don't have one of those.
Somebody else painted on the ceiling tiles.
Yes.
But that was a whole other concept. And then they can be reused, as you pointed out.
Right,
Just
yeah.
put it back in the
They
ceiling.
go back up in the
You're going
ceiling.
to start a whole new trend. Somebody better patent it right now, whoever it is. But how about you? Do you know when you locked it?
I don't personally believe that artwork can really ever be finished. I believe that I come back to most of my pieces a year or so later and continue to work on it. And I feel like it's a culmination of ideas I've had from, last year and this year. And I think that kind of makes something new about it that I really enjoy in my work.
Yeah. Well, that I've always referred to that as the curse of the creative, because nothing's ever done, ever. It's like the never-ending story, the movie, the never-ending story when you're working on a piece of work. It's never perfection. It's never just right. And then sometimes, have you ever done it where you've overworked a piece too? Yeah. I have a minute left. Who wants to talk about that pain? Because that's got to be, once you've worked and worked and worked, and you go, wait a minute, I got to do some more. And then you overwork and you go, holy cow. And you have to start all over. What's that like? I mean, you only have to say about a half a minute's worth. Go ahead.
Kind of like a heartbreak. It's like your first breakup. You think it's the worst thing in the world, and then you get up the next day and you're like, all right, well, I can do that again. It wasn't that bad.
and then you know. But I think, how about you? Have you ever? I have a minute left. Have you ever had a piece and you said, I don't like it, I got to keep working, and then go, oh gosh, I overworked it, or no?
Well, there is one I think is very unsuccessful. It's made out of rolled up pieces of printer paper, and it looks so mechanical, and I wanted to combine organic and geometric shapes into my pieces, and this one, frankly, just, I was like, oh man.
Oh,
I
the
have
heck
to-
with that, right? You're going to say, well, we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, Onnie's going to tell us about whether he's ever had that experience as an artist and an art teacher. Don't turn that dial. Come on back and hear all about the wonderful AP art students, Newark Arts High, Columbia High School, on exhibit at Gallery 1978 Maplewood. Don't turn that dial.
After 17 years working as a mason, Mike was laid off. I met him when he came into the library looking for help. He found a job opening, but the application was only online. Mike said he'd spent his entire life around tools, but had never used a computer. I showed him how, and he ended up applying for numerous jobs online. I saw Mike the other day. His new computer skills paid off. He's working again.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
Hi, it's Nancy Heins-Glaser back with Meet the Artist and amazing AP students, and Onnie Strothers, curator of an exhibit at Gallery 1978. And when we left, I was talking about over-rendering or overdoing work, and I said I was going to ask you, Mr. Strothers, Had that ever happened to you when in your younger years you were doing painting and weren't as highly skilled as you are now? Did you
Well,
ever overwork it?
An artist, just like anybody else who's inventive, you learn probably more from the things that are not successful than you do from things that you consider to be successful, because it doesn't, once it's finished or once it's where you want it to be, it may not give you the impetus or the energy or the desire to move on to something else. Whereas when you're working on something and just a little small part of it works, it gives you the opportunity to take that little piece and then enlarge it and make it into something else. And so an artist learns, probably like anybody else who invents, learns more from their mistakes than they do, or from things that are not quite right, from those things than they do from what people would consider to be successful.
I knew you would say that, and that's exactly true, isn't it? I'm sure each of you, so you mentioned something about something that was cumulative for you. So, you know, you took something. So you take the good, you take the bad, hopefully it all works out, rearrange it. I mean, I know I have a friend who's a professional artist who in grade school or junior high could do anything. She got into printmaking, really repetitive. You know, single cell things and over and over and over. That would make me nuts. But I think that for her, it's Zen. Somebody was talking earlier about that. But for her, it's sort of the process of doing it, repeating it, puts her in a spiritual place. Have you guys chosen a medium you like the most yet? Or you're still figuring it all out?
Well, I've chosen, well, pretty much. I've chosen paper and aluminum to be my very favorite, most desirable mediums to use. And it's, well, even though I started off with paper and aluminum what came next. Aluminum was kind of like paper, so I guess they could be the same thing. It's really like an evolution stage, like I mentioned earlier, and I've really matured from, from what I've done with paper to aluminum, and my teacher, Fossil Sibylla, he brought me into that. I really want to thank him if he was here.
Well, and I want, how about you? Have you figured out what your favorite thing to work with or materials?
I think my favorite thing is the idea of multimedia. I love to be able to flip back and forth. I make jewelry, so I love the idea of the three-dimensional and then to the one-dimensional. I think it's a lot of fun to be able to flip from paint to charcoal. It's also what keeps me interested. I go crazy if I'm working with the same thing too long.
Mm-hmm. Like that repetition, would that make you nuts too? At least I'm not. So for it, everybody has something different. So, and you found that even at 17, you found that, or are you 17?
I am 17.
Yeah. So you figured that out. Did you start early enough to know? Is that by working with lots of materials?
Well, my parents are in the theater, and my grandmother is an artist, mostly with like painting and then fabric and glasswork. So my whole life I've been exposed to different kinds of art and different medias in art. So just the idea of bringing them all together kind of seems second nature to me.
All right. How about you?
I initially, as I mentioned before, I really love illustration and using graphic pen. Though I kind of moved away from this over the summer because I went to the Rhode Island School of Design for a pre-college program. And there they kind of broke me in that I had to use constant graphite and charcoal. And I think I had more of an appreciation for like the fine tonal range of that. And I've kind of tried to mix those both as like they're two very contrasting things. As graphic pen is like strict black and white contrast and crosshatch, while you can really build it up with graphite. So I like kind of mixing the two. I kind of switch between each.
Yeah, okay. So, well, and that's good. So you stretched when you were at RISD.
Yeah.
They made you stretch. Well, the other thing is the show overall, which is how many pieces in it? Do you know, Onnie, how many are
Probably about 50 things.
Yeah, it's really excellent. And, of course, the curator did a good job hanging it, too, and that's also very important. But I was impressed by sort of the range. Mm-hmm. And what we discussed commentary-wise when we were chatting about the subject matter was somewhat different between our Thai and Columbia. But we'll leave everybody open to make that determination on their own. But I was impressed by the range. There was a lot of self-portraits, but really interesting angles of self-portraits, not just the straight on. there were a lot of emotional pieces, I felt. Quite a few that were almost fearful. You know, it's very hard to be young, I know that. Or I used to feel that anyway. But what impressed me most was nothing was alike. They were all different. How did you do that, or how did that happen? Or in your classes, did the teacher give you a guide, ask you what you wanted to do to do this? How did you get at this work, you know?
Well, as I mentioned before, our teacher suggested pieces that we should use, and a lot of them was based off class assignments he gave us. Though I think a lot of us just wanted to express something more personal in the exhibit. That's why we all submitted sort of work that was different from one another. Like, I tried to submit work that I really didn't find similarities to in other people in the class. Like, there's a girl who does illustration as well, who sits across from me, and I tried to find pieces that just didn't match hers, even though we have similar styles, because I wanted to sort of differentiate. Because I wanted to be identifiable, at least.
Right, and your own person, right? How about you, honey?
I think it's interesting because there's a lot of different personalities going on in that class. And what's really interesting is how different everyone is in their own pieces. And Mr. McKim, our teacher, started a website for us for the AP and Art 4 group, and we all have a place where we can put our art up for everyone to see. And it's great because you really get to see how different everyone is and, you know, their range. And it's a lot of fun. Our site is lightningrodart.com, and it's great. We're making T-shirts and everything. We're
so
really
you're
into
really
it.
into it. That's
Yeah.
terrific. And how many kids are in the class?
Oh, I'd have to say in the 20s about, because it's a mix of AP and Art 4. And it's great. I love to cruise the site and just look at what everyone else is doing.
It's fun, yeah. Last year I went and I taped from there, and Mr. McKim talked about how wonderful the students were. And I remember one of the students, the daughter of a friend of mine, used a tennis ball. I mean, to actually design with a tennis ball. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. Now, I might just be out of it, but there's always, what I'm looking at is slightly different, really stretching, pushing a boundary, never subject matter. I don't mean that, but in terms of materials and medium. Is that something you encourage, or you did encourage also in your classes?
I never taught advanced placement art. I taught advanced placement art history. The teachers, and kind of to just go back for a minute, the teachers, Mr. McKim and Mr. Sevilla, came in and set the exhibit up. So the way that it was arranged in the materials that are used to set it up were really the idea of the teacher to express what they felt was the kind of energy that's in each one of the classes. And so I know that in some classes they give assignments. Assignments are used to get the sort of prime the pump, so students get an idea as to what it is, what materials they want to work with. Gives them some experience with working with a variety of different kinds of things. And then probably later on in the year, as we get towards the second semester, students will be encouraged to sort of find their own direction as to what their concentration is going to be. Very often in a lot of AP classes, you'll have students who are juniors or sophomores, and they have a chance to work with it really putting together so many pieces. I think it's 24 pieces that are needed. Sometimes takes more than 1 year, and a lot of times it takes a student some time to figure out where to really get their sea legs. Alif is working with and is not working currently with the normal classroom teacher. He's been allowed to go and work with whatever teacher, Mr. Sevilla, a teacher that he sort of feels more comfortable with in the medium that he's working with now. You might say some more about that, because I don't know much about that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, I actually want to start off by saying that I actually had 3 inspirations in life. One of them is Mr. Sevilla, and 2 other is Theo Johansson and Ruben Mongol. Well, I'll start off with Mr. Sevilla. He is one of the craziest art teachers I've ever seen in my life.
Crazy good, right?
Crazy good.
Can you say it all in 2 minutes? Because that's how much we have left. Or is there so much to say you can't? And so he's crazy good. Okay.
Well, he gave me so many ideas for expanding my pieces, but I was like, Mr. Sevilla, I want to make up my own pieces just like as crazy as you would do it. And so he let me take advantage of my pieces, and then I got some feedback from him. And then the other two artists deal with kinetic sculptures, and that's something I found really, really inspiring, because Ruben Mongrel, he does kinetic waves, and Theo Jansen, he actually does these creatures that lives and thrives on the ocean, and it's powered by wind. And
You're getting so deep. I think we're going to all have to go
Yeah,
research it.
pretty much.
I have 1 minute left. I don't know what the heck to say, except this went by pretty fast. And unfortunately, that exhibit's going to go down pretty fast. But we do have some photo images we'll be showing throughout, so it won't be lost for good. Hope to see you also on Sunday. Onnie, would you make one closing comment in the last 45 seconds?
We want to encourage everyone who's watching this program to go and see the art exhibit. We've got some young stars coming up. It's at the 1978 Gallery on Springfield Avenue. That's 1978 Springfield Avenue in Maplewood. And it'll be
07040.
running- That's right. The show
And-
will be running from December 19th, the opening, to January 16th. And so on the weekends, please drop by
Come on
and
by.
encourage our
Our next
talented
generation.
teenagers. Right.
And thank you for joining us. Keep an eye out for all of our kids and their fabulous art. Keep an eye out for all the art that's in your life and you don't even know it. It's Nancy Heins-Glaser from Meet the Artists, and thank you all. Good day.